Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I saw this cover this week of Ebony Magazine, with which I thought was a brilliant cover. It was a picture of an image of a family photo for the Cosby Show, and the image looked like the picture had been shattered, smashed on the ground, but it was the cover of the magazine. And I was especially proud of the cover because it was designed by a friend of mine by the name of S. Tia Brown. She's my partner on Financial Lovemaking, which is a book that I wrote about how love and money kind of work together and how money causes us to make crazy decisions when it comes to love and family and all that. Anyway, I was so I was happy for Tia because I think it started a really interesting conversation in the black community. It's probably the most brilliant magazine cover I've seen in years on any magazine anywhere. But then two, I thought it was interesting to kind of reflect on Cosby and his legacy and just what these recent allegations mean for this man, his family, how we should remember him, what it means for our community. Some people, including my good friend Yvette Carnell, it seemed like they expressed concerns about the fact that African Americans would kind of look up to the fictional characters on the Cosby Show, because we know that this media is designed by people who are in the power structure. We know the power structure is racist. We know that most of these people are white, who put this stuff in front of us, and it controls how we think. And that's kind of unfortunate because media has long been used to control and to harm black people. But with that being said, to the extent that there's so much more damaging media out here, I always gave Cosby credit for at least trying to present what he thought was a healthy narrative for the black community. I remember watching the very first episode of that show on the very first day that it came out, and I loved it. It gave me something different to look at. His show A Different World made me interested in HBCUs. We know, that, again, the history of HBCUs even. I mean, most of these HBCUs were actually founded by white people to teach black people to go work for white people. So as we move into the 21st century, we of course need new paradigms of media and education. But really, to some extent, media is a form of education that indoctrinates or shapes your thinking in terms of how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see other people. So, would we do the same thing now that we did in 1983 or 82 or whenever the Cosby Show came out? No, we wouldn't, because we have new options now. We have the internet. We're able to sort of scrutinize things a little more effectively. Media has been democratized. But given what they were working with at the time, you have to give Cosby credit for trying. And another thing you have to always give Cosby credit for is the fact that he stepped up in ways that none of these other celebrities have when it came to giving to HBCUs. All these people that want to act like Cosby never did anything good for anybody, and that he's totally worthless because of these horrible things he might have done. I just think that that's a ridiculous way to look at things. Again, I was mentioning in the last video, we're trained now in this very divided political landscape that we're in. We're trained to see everything in black and white. You say one thing, and then you're worthless. You did one bad thing that nullifies all the good things you've ever done. I don't agree with that. I think we should look at things for what they are. So again, with Cosby, he's either a good person who did some bad things, or he's a bad person who did some good things. Depending on how you want to look at it, the fact is that he did both good and bad. He also stepped to the plate in many ways that a lot of his critics have not. When you hear people attacking Cosby, deservedly so, not just for these allegations, but also for the way he issued this very biased critique of the black community. Because remember, he wasn't talking to white folks with the same sort of condemnation that he was talking to black folks with. There were a lot of things that he said that other people could have said. Farrakhan could have said the same thing, but it would be seen differently because Farrakhan ain't afraid of the white man. Cosby was afraid of the white man. Cosby would never, like Obama does it, Stephen A. Smith does it. A lot of these people do this. What they do is basically come at black people in a way that they would never come at white people. It's a lot like, a little girl gets molested her whole life, so she grows up and she becomes a drug addicted prostitute. Well, it's a lot easier to go in and yell at the prostitute than it is to yell at her father, who molested her and made her into the person that she is today. So it's a lot easier to attack the black community because we can't always swing back. But to me, the real mark of courage is, can you look that white man in the eye and tell him about himself as well? knowing that he is going to retaliate, knowing that there is going to be a price to be paid for this. And a lot of our celebrities don't have that courage because we're trained to be double sided and two faced in terms of how we evaluate our community. Now, with that being said, moving on with Cosby and these allegations, I guess that's the big thing that everybody talks about. Let's be clear. We know Cosby was not convicted of anything. I think it's very, 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 very strange that he was never put on trial for any of this, but that does not mean that he's innocent. Remember, when you got almost 40 people making the same allegation against you, that is evidence. That's not just 40 people making things up. I just really don't think that. I think Cosby did do some things he shouldn't have done. I think that, the idea of an older man, kind of taking these young ladies in as a father figure and a mentor, and and sleeping with all of them, even though he's married, right? That right there is bad enough, and then possibly raping them as well is I mean, it's just beyond atrocious. It definitely shows he had a serious kind of mental illness kind of happening behind the scenes. And what's interesting to me as well, though, is that you got a whole lot of crazy perverts in Hollywood. I mean, you got a whole lot of people. You got folks in there that are having sex with little boys, having pedophile parties, and sleeping with little boys, and nobody will say anything. Because everybody's scared of. I don't know if they. I don't know somehow they. I don't know somehow people even think that even somehow even talking about say homosexuality and pedophilia in the same paragraph means that you're being homophobic or whatever, and which I don't even understand that word. It doesn't make any sense. But I really truly believe that there are all different kinds of interesting sexual behavior in Hollywood that is overlooked. That where people just act like it doesn't exist. But I guarantee you, if they were black men, if there were a group of black men having sex with little boys on a regular basis, those black men would be plastered all over TV. So we know racism is real. Not racism did not make Cosby do what he did, but racism certainly changes the shade of the lens that is shined on him after he does it. You see, you think about three black men who literally became America's favorite white man for a little while. Cosby, Tiger Woods, and O.J. Simpson. All three of those guys had virtually abandoned the black community. Cosby hadn't abandoned entirely. He just kind of started condemning people. But O.J. and Tiger, nothing to do with black people. And in all three of those cases, all those men were treated in ways that went beyond extraordinary in terms of the degree of public disdain and all the attacks. And it kind of went beyond what you normally see in those situations. And in all three of those cases, those three men committed the cardinal sin of hurting a white woman. I remember OJ was accused of murdering Nicole. Nobody talked about how Nicole was a drug addicted, whatever. They just talked about, they painted her as this, beautiful, wonderful, angelic figure who can never hurt a fly. Well, I don't think that that was who she was. And I think that they made OJ into the monster and Nicole into the angel, and that's what created the narrative. Again, though, but I do think OJ did it. Don't get me wrong. I believe that he did it. I really do. But still, just the way the public looked at it, it's so interesting because if OJ had killed a black woman, I don't think they would have done the same thing. Tiger Woods, I think that case was probably the worst in the sense that, here this guy had been attacked by his wife with a golf club. She hit him upside the head. That's why he wasn't in the public eye for weeks. And somehow Tiger is painted as a bad guy when he's actually a victim of domestic violence. If Tiger had put a golf club upside her head, he'd be in prison right now today. So, in the effort to protect the sanctity of a white woman, you're going to make this black guy look like a criminal because he did something that thousands of men all across the world do every day, which is cheat on his wife. Okay, maybe he's a bad husband. Maybe they cheated on each other. Maybe he did some stuff he shouldn't have done. But to have him on TV apologizing like a little boy, that's just unacceptable to me. I didn't enjoy watching that at all. Now, again, finishing up with Cosby, I think, I mean, all these allegations just pouring out from everywhere. It's such a bad look. It's so disappointing. I think that the fact that these women were mostly white does matter. It does matter to the public. I think if these were mostly black women, I think it would be seen differently. It'd probably be ignored. Because they protect their favorite Negroes as long as they don't hurt white women most of the time. I think that those who think that he could never have done this, that this is all racism, I don't agree with that. I think that we have to make sure we protect the the meaning of that term and that idea by making sure that we're not just calling racism anytime a black person is accused of something. You have to look at the evidence. But if you want to make me think racism has nothing to do with this, I think that's crazy. There's certainly a difference in the way Cosby's being dealt with versus the way they've dealt with all these other crazy perverts in Hollywood. Like I said, Hollywood is just a sick, crazy place. There's a whole lot of ridiculous stuff that happens there every single day, happening right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if if these were all black women or if Cosby were a white man. Let's say a Bill Clinton, which we know Bill Clinton has his dirt, not like Cosby's dirt, but Bill Clinton's got some interesting stuff going on. If you really look in his background, I just think the public would have seen it differently. So let's just look at it, for what it is. That's the point. It's not defending Cosby. It's not condemning him. It's just saying let's look at it for what it is, and let's just make sure we're fair and let's have the conversation. I think that's important. But then finally, last point: try to avoid all that hero worship. Most of your heroes ain't as amazing as you think they are. Give them credit for the great things they do, but understand they probably got weaknesses and issues and dirt just like everybody else. So anyway, that's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. We've got something called the blackbusinessschool.com, which you should go check out. It's where the Black Wealth Boot Camp is housed, as well as my class with Damon Dash. It's all about learning how to run a business, all about learning how to build wealth, all that stuff. Go check it out. You can join for free. There's a lot of free stuff, but then there are also some paid classes. And if you want to support, I could really, we could really use your support because we have bills to pay and stuff like that. And everything is fairly priced, far cheaper than what you pay on these college campuses, because we know that the mandate for the 21st century is that all of us, every single one of us, every black child in America, every black parent in America should learn how to run their own business. That's the best way for us to get away from white supremacy. When I learned how to make my own money, white people couldn't bother me nearly as much as they did before. In fact, I literally go months now without talking to a single white person. Not because I don't like them or not because I'm scared of them, but because it's just not, I'm with my people, and that's where I'm happiest. So, get back with your people. It is possible to do that. All right, take care, everybody. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.